everybody, and welcome to my channel. This is the G. Parker of G. Parker Artworks, and thank you for coming and visiting with me today. We're gonna do kind of a color swatching like we did before. I don't know if you watched my video about the blues, but today I'm going to do pardon me, reds, and it's everything from pink to purple, violets. I mean, it's all the shades of reds, and I've decided that like I said in my other video, I could have sworn I swatched out my colors before, but I can't find them, so I'm doing it again. And in case this is your first time here, welcome. I do lots of very different things. Sometimes I'm painting, sometimes I'm swatching. So, you know, be sure and subscribe if you like what you see, and definitely click that like button. That helps me know that what I'm doing is something people like to see. So the first color, and I actually went and was somewhat organized, which I am not a very organized person when it comes to painting. I kind of just toss things out there and go with the flow. But today I tried to be a little bit more organized. And so first we have Shell Pink, and it's by the Holden Artist Watercolor, and kind of goes by HWC. And so that's this color, and it's a very, very light pink, as you can see. It's nice when you're working with things that you want to have a lighter pink color, because I've discovered when you add white to, watercolor white to paint, it really does not work well. It just kind of makes it washed out and matted. So anyway, this one is Thalo Crimson, and it's Academy. See, I use all sorts of different paint. My brain's not working with it today. Different brands of paint. And it's kind of been an experimental thing. I have gradually discovered that I like some brands better than others, and we'll discuss that as we go. But I've had some of these for a long time, because watercolor tends, in the tubes anyway, to last a while, and I tend to buy tubes more than I do the little blocks of color. This one is some kind of bizarre word that I don't really know how to say, but it's a rose hue. So we're going to just say it's rose. And it is a lovely color of rose. So that's nice. And this is also a Daniel Smith. The Daniel Smiths I have purchased individually. This next color is Academy. I've purchased them individually as I've looked at a color and I thought that would be a cool color. I do have a Turner set. That's what this one is. Turner Artist Watercolor, and I don't use this very often, to be honest. And then I have a Marie's, which is this big box over here, 18 colors, and I don't use it very often either. So you'll find that I use my individual tubes a lot more than I do this one. I think I said we put it in the wrong spot. Well, this one is actually the Tho Violet with Academy, and I don't know why I put it in the wrong spot, because I had the paint in order, but that's not in order. So anyway, you see how it's a lovely shade of purple. So this is supposed to be, let's see, this one is Mauve. It goes from the wrong end. And this is another brand, Cotman. And I really don't have many paints by Cotman. I'm thinking this might be the only one. And I don't know how I ended up with it, but I did. We're going to kind of do it in between here in the middle. You can see how, actually, that's a lovely shade of purple. Says it's mauve. You know, there's kind of generic words for the colors. It's purple, but it's actually, there's all these different shades. Okay, then we have Mineral Violet by HWC. It would help if I kept track of which ones I did. So I will try and do better as we go along. So that's this one. And interesting. It seems a little deeper, darker shade of violet there. Okay, then we have Crimson Lake, and this is another HWC. And I think it's got a little paint on the inside there. It made it hard to open up, but we'll just use from the lid. And that's a nice dark shade of red. In fact, I'm going to wipe off paint on the top of this because it's just going to make it harder to open the next time. And I kind of liking that color. Okay. So now we are at Rose Madder, which, like, who comes up with these names? I have no idea. Why would you call it Rose Madder? I mean, it's, you know, if it's rose, is it darker rose? Is it madder because the rose is angry? I mean, what in the world? So I don't know who names these colors. I think sometimes it's like the people that name the towns. Just whatever the mood hits them, or it's after somebody, or who knows. This one is Cad Red Deep Red, and it's another Academy. So we will see how red this one is. Wow, doesn't look like I've used this one quite as much. Maybe I have. This one seems to be a little bit more orangey red, which I think goes along with the cadmium. So it's Cad Red. This is Magenta by Master's Touch, which is the Hobby Lobby, and I really like the Master's Touch brand. Oh dear. Now if I can get it open, that'd be great. They just, as far as like their canvas and stuff, I don't know how well I like the watercolor, and I'm not gonna get this open at this moment. That makes me sad. I have to find some pliers. I usually have them with my acrylics because those lids get stuck all the time. Okay, this one is the Turner artist watercolor. It's Naphthal Red. And once again, it's like, what is Naphthal? Explain this to me. I really don't know why you would call it, or what that word comes from. So we need to skip a block because that's the one I can't open. And that's actually that's a pretty good red. I like that. Okay, we're starting to get into the oranges. Sorry about that. I hope that didn't make you sick. Bump the camera there. This one is another Daniel Smith, and it's Pyrrol Scarlet. I have no idea exactly if I'm saying it right. Pyrr. So it's another one of those words where it's like, excuse me, who came up with this word? And that's a little bit more of an orangey red along the veins of the cadmium red, I think. And it's funny how you end up with all these different colors, because you can mix colors and make your own colors. And a lot of times I mix these colors to do something I'm painting. So it's really funny how you still buy all these different colors thinking, oh, that sounds like a good color to use. And this one doesn't want to open either. Oh my goodness. I think I'm also getting weaker in my hands. But if you get too much paint on those threads, they just don't. And that's where the tubes are probably not as good as the blocks, because you don't have that problem with blocks. And look how much paint came out of that. That one. Don't want to put all of that on there. And this is very interesting. This is orange. It's Alyzarin orange, and it is kind of a rust color looking to me. Kind of a rust there. But hopefully I can get this cleaned off so that it doesn't make it hard to open up again. And then we have, this one's been smushed, Verulian Hue, and the color and the packaging makes it look orange, but I'm like, Vermilion's kind of a red, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of hue is a Verulian Hue, because it does look kind of orangey. So let's see how this looks. Well, you see how that other one is a rusty orange? This one is kind of a brighter orange. It's definitely more orange than Vermilion as far as I am concerned. That was HWC as well. That other one was an Academy. I might list these all in my description so that you can see what they look like as far as correct spelling, since you probably can't read my hand scratching over here. This one is another Turner, and it's another of that Pyrrol Red. Instead of Pyrrol Scarlet, it's Pyrrol Red. It's like, okay, whatever. And we have a Mauve Red, and I'm wondering if that's like, okay, so is it supposed to be like an Indian red from the Mayans? Who knows? You've already heard my commentary on how they name these colors. I obviously haven't used this one very much, and it's kind of granulated a little bit. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of separated, which I haven't really seen that in a tube before. So that's interesting. And then we have Permanent Scarlet, which is like, really? You have semi-permanent and you have permanent? I haven't seen any semi-permanent, so I don't know why they would call it that, but yeah, no, we're going with what they're calling it here. And this is another Turner. And that looks pretty orangey red to me. So once again, it's kind of got a red tint to it, but it's an orange. Okay, these are the Maries, and I don't really like the Maries. Somebody was raving about them, so I decided to splurge and get a set, and I have not been impressed with them. This is their Crimson Red. They just haven't seemed to be as, the colors don't really have a lot of depth to them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And this one is Rose. So we have another Rose, and it's the Maries. So we'll see how this one looks a little bit more on the purplish side. And it is kind of a rose color. You can see that. You kind of like that color. But you can see how they work, and some of them are cover up these blue, a little distracting. You can see how some of them are lighter and darker in their pigment, and how they work that way, so you kind of know which one would be what you'd want to use and what you wouldn't want to use, what you're looking for in painting with them. So hopefully that's been an enlightening thing for you. I'm going to do one more color swatching with the yellows that I have on another video, and I will list those colors as well. But hopefully you have enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me.